Hi everyone, welcome back to A Dish on Aging. Today is Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, Wednesday is the new Sunday. I'll get to it in a minute why I'm posting today and not on Sunday. But before I get to that, I want to everyone to know that I'm actually changing the day of the week that I will be posting. Starting next week, I will be posting sometime on Tuesdays. So next Tuesday will be Tuesday, May 25th. It will be episode 22. And next Tuesday, I'll be talking about are family estrangements a result of the cancer or the cancel culture. I'm going to be talking about that. There's been a lot of talk in the media in the last few months about family estrangements. So I'm going to talk about that and how it impacts aging. Then the following Tuesday will be June 1st, the day after Memorial Day. And that is when I will be posting episode 23. And I will be discussing the topic, is this a value conflict within my family or just the same old family dysfunction? And today I have been so looking forward to today's topic. And today's topic is codependency and aging. Have I created a family of monsters? And this is episode 21. Before I jump into the topic, I want to talk about everything that the exciting things that have been happening last week and into this week. I think the most exciting news event is on Thursday late in the day. CDC changed COVID restrictions, and here in Pennsylvania, all of our restrictions changed with the CDC recommendations, and that is for those of us who are fully vaccinated, we do not have to wear our masks inside or outside, with the exception of if we are in nursing homes, I think here in prisons here in Pennsylvania, doctors' offices, and there was one other I don't recall off the top of my head, but all other venues, inside or outside, if we have been fully vaccinated, the CDC is saying we don't have to wear our masks. The reason for that is that new research has come up that has found it's actually been being collected all along. Those of us who've been fully vaccinated, the chances of us getting COVID, our COVID symptoms, are next to nothing, and our chance of spreading the COVID to somebody else is next to nothing. So if we're fully vaccinated, we are really, really protected. There's, I think, over 60% of American adults have received at least the first dose of the vaccination. So we're moving right along. The challenges are that children younger than the age of 12 are not eligible for vaccination. That's one challenge. The other big challenge is everybody's on the honor system with saying whether or not they've been vaccinated or not. And some businesses are saying we still want you to wear the masks anyway. So I found myself on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday just bringing my mask everywhere I go. As a healthcare provider, I've been fully vaccinated for months. And so we are now at a point where a lot of activities are opening. Broadway is going to be up and running in the fall. All outside stadiums, all outside venues no longer have restrictions on the number of people in the stadium. So sporting events are going to move forward. Graduations are moving forward this year. And so a lot of exciting things are happening. And we also are just having this absolutely beautiful weather here in Pennsylvania. These are some of the nicest summer days I think I've ever seen in this state. And it was all happening this past weekend and this week. So I, of course, was out getting right back to my life again that I had not been able to participate in for most of the year. And so I decided on Sunday, going to change the post date. the day that I post these videos to Tuesday, so that I'll be filming on Tuesdays as well, so I can and then get my weekends back to leisure and social and recreational. And by the way, that's what I want everybody to do. The second Tuesday in June, I'm going to be talking about the adjustment back to our regular activities. For some people, it will be different. For some of you, your life is different this year than it was last. For some of you, you will be able to do what I did. I was already signed up to run the first road race I've run in a year and a half. I was already signed up to run one on Friday evening. And so that worked out really well with the new masks. However, the event was in the state of New Jersey, and Governor Murphy has not lifted, is one of the few states that's not lifted some of the mask restrictions specific to his state. So also the event I was at was a family-friendly event. There were a ton of really young kids there. So we were asked, and we were expecting we would be wearing our masks and for that event. So I wore my mask for that, of course, even though it was outside and I had been fully vaccinated. So we're going to want to be mindful as we're returning to events that are getting up and planned and running, that that we still may have to wear our masks, even though the CDC says you're fine not to. So I'll be talking about in the second Tuesday in June about how to get back to our regular activities. So it's part of the reason why Wednesday is the new Sunday this week, because I was back being active, getting into physical exercise, and made a decision to, I made the decision, I had room in my schedule, I was going to post on Monday. And then Monday was tax day, and I knew it was tax day, and my accountant had told me that we were probably going to have to file for an extension, even though I had given him my tax forms several weeks ago. He said that he got such a backlog, he didn't know that he was going to be able to get my taxes together. And then I received an email kind of in the middle of the night, Sunday night, saying he was going to be able to get my taxes done. So when I woke up on Monday, I was like, okay, I will be getting taxes, checks written, things signed, and everything in the mail. And so that's why my plan of Monday didn't work. But here we are, Wednesday evening, beautiful evening, amazing flowers. Just so everybody knows, I get my flowers at Acme. I think that they do just an amazing job with these are always fresh flowers. And so anyway, so here we are, Wednesday evening, beautiful May evening. And I'm going to jump into my topic. Where this came from, the topic, I was having a conversation with a woman. She was into her 70s, and she was a very supporting, caring mom and grandmother. And she was finding for the first time in her life, she was having pain, back pain, and also she didn't have the energy level and stamina that she usually did. And that meant that she wasn't able to be as supportive of her children and grandchildren as she had been for much of her adult life. She was always the first one to jump in to volunteer. Okay, it's someone's birthday this week, I'll make the cake. I'm happy to care for any of the grandkids that may need looking after. Whatever it is, anybody needed a ride or an errand run, she was the first to jump in and do this. It was just the kind of person that she is, very loving, caring, very supportive family. And she found that with some aging-related medical concerns, she didn't have the energy, and particularly she was in a lot of pain. And reality is other people don't see pain. So even though you tell them you're living with a pain condition, oftentimes people around you may not get it. And when she told them that she needed to back off on some of the things she was helping the family with and had been happily helping them for many, many years, she got some pushback. Her adult children were getting angry at her. They were getting angry at each other. They then started calling each other up. You can't drop your children off at mom's every Saturday afternoon so you can do your supermarket shopping. She can't handle it anymore. And besides, I have to drop my kids off Saturday afternoon. And so that's what I call pushback, where somebody kind of just says, I'm sorry, I just can't do this either anymore or even just this weekend. And then there's all kinds of negative response instead of a family member saying, well, of course, Mom, I understand completely. It has been absolutely wonderful the way that you've been able to help us. We'll take care of it. That's a healthy response, and we appreciate you considering and letting us know that you're not able to be helpful with this either for just now or for permanent. That's a healthy reaction. And a lot of seniors will tell you they don't necessarily get a healthy reaction from their children. So I was having a conversation with this person, and then the rhetorical question was asked for the first time in her whole life, wondering, have I raised a family of monsters? And it was a sense of humor. She was demonstrating a sense of humor. And I said, what a wonderful topic, because that is actually, it seems like a simple question. It is actually pretty complex. So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. The rhetorical question, codependency and aging. Have I raised a family of monsters? Let me start with a quick overview about what codependency is. Codependency is when an adult overcares for other people. The reason why the adult is overcaring for other people, and I don't mean an emotional, I care a lot for people. I mean doing too much care, taking care of other adults. They're adults, they have the ability to do their own laundry, do their own shopping. Why are you running around doing it for them? The reason why a codependent person will overtake care of other people is to deal with the anxiety in life in general of the codependent person. A lot of times the codependent person is neglecting their own health. They're neglecting the real problems in their life. What are they ignoring? And if they find that they are indispensable to other people and so busy they don't have a minute to think, that allows them to not have to pay attention to some of the real problems they're having in their own life. They're too busy taking care of other people. So that is a problem that is called codependency. There are 12-step groups to address this called Codependency Anonymous because it tends to have been a lifelong pattern. The problem with codependency is it can actually create a problem if someone's a parent and they're codependent. They're going to overtake care of their children, and that may stunt the growth of young children. Think 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old. If mom doesn't want them to get upset because they have to pick up their toys, she may, if they're going to throw a temper tantrum or otherwise get upset, angry, or anxious because they're required to pick up their toys at the end of the play session, then mom will say, don't worry about it, I'll do it. And that may start a pattern now where that child then grows up into a toddler, grows up into a child who grows up to a teenager who grows up into an adult who now is not accustomed to taking care of themselves, even in a basic sort of way. That is how codependency then can create the word might be spoiled person. There are other problems that can come up with when codependency becomes a primary part of a parenting style. It can create dysfunction in the child. It's also dysfunction that can be corrected fairly easily. There's also separate from codependency, which codependency is not a diagnosis. It's just it's an unhealthy style of living. And when we're talking about aging, this one particular example of the grandmother, the mother grandmother who was in her 70s, and found she just didn't have the energy to be running around, running errands for other people, watching all of the grandkids, at least not as much as she had been in, say, the previous 3 or 4 years. And something changed. And she said to her kids, look, I can't be doing this as often or at all. And the children were acting like they were monsters. They were not supporting their mother in her medical and aging process. They got angry. It's like they had a sense of entitlement, of, what do you mean you can't take care of my child? You take care of my sister's children. And it just really not good. That's unhealthy. Um, so I'm going to talk about that. That's different than codependency. That is a loving, caring mother, grandmother who's now aging. And you have two things. You have generation differences, the selfishness of Generation X, the expecting parents. If you do one thing for one kid, you got to do two for me. Really, that's what they're really saying. If you can do that for my sister, you got to do that for me. And the other part of this, and I want to focus in on, is the idea that the adult children may not be understanding the aging process. I'm going to talk about how to fix that. The third part of somebody needs care. Is it codependency? Is it a generational difference, a sense of entitlement, and not understanding the aging process? Or what can happen now, and I'm seeing this a whole lot, you can actually have an adult who is care dependent, but it's, what's that saying? You kind of see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And that is when there is an adult in the family who's actually living with a disability. They don't have the ability. They don't have the ability to go out, get a job, and hold a job. They really don't have the ability to get to the supermarket, buy food, come home, and make it. For whatever reason, they don't have the ability to focus. Um, and it's important to consider that. That is somebody who is legitimately biologically over age 18, so they're an adult, but they do need care. So that is a care dependent person. In aging, and there's going to be a range of care dependent. Somebody maybe can get to a menial job, a not complicated job, as long as they're living in a home where everything at home is taken care of for them. For example, somebody else is taking care of everything about the house, doing the laundry, doing the shopping, doing the cooking, and that is an important structural type of support that somebody is receiving, and they are care dependent. It's very different than somebody who's choosing to live with mom and dad just because they don't want to pay rent, they don't want to do their own cooking. That's one thing. If someone knows how to care for themselves, has the ability, has demonstrated the ability at some point earlier in their life, and to save money, and it's also not healthy. They should be out on their own with friends, saving money with friends. But that's different than somebody who's care dependent. So as I'm talking about actual codependency, somebody who's over taking care of other family member adults or friends could even be, and then when they say I'm getting older, I can't do this anymore, and there's pushback, it can be because they've been so codependent, they have sort of crippled, if you will, in a symbolic way, that adult. That adult doesn't have the skills to take care of themselves because mom never allowed them to develop the skills. Then there can be just a generational gap difference in terms of moms getting older, and the Generation X doesn't understand the aging, and they also have a sense of entitlement. And then there's also the other issue where some others may look at an individual and not recognize that, in fact, they do experience a level of care dependence. They are dependent on other people. So you'll notice I use the word care a lot. So I'm going to have Gamma S come in at this point, and let's get Gamma S's 2 cents on this topic.
Hi everyone, Gamma S here. I am so glad we are talking about this topic of codependency and the difference between codependency and the difference between maybe some spoiled adult children who don't understand aging, and then that family member we can't quote kick them to the curb, as they say, because the person in that third category really does need care. Now, you're probably wondering what this picture is here. This picture is of a vineyard that I visited this weekend. I did a little bit of wine tasting, went for a little nice long walk, had some wonderful exercise, enjoyed the company of friends, and a beautiful day. And I want to share this with you because it doesn't matter if you are a codependent person, if you are someone who has family members who are self-entitled and do not have an understanding of aging, so they now continue to expect you to provide for them in ways that you just don't have the ability anymore, or if you are caring for somebody who is genuinely care dependent, you need to take care of yourself first. And one of the most important ways for you to take care of yourself is to find relaxing sceneries like these and just make sure to schedule leisure time into your week. So that is Gamma S's 2 cents for today. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Gamma S. That is just wonderful because that is a wonderful segue into the solution to these three problems. The point of the videos here is to present solution. And at the heart of the solution of each one of these scenarios, it goes to what is causing the problem. And one of the things that Gamma S recognizes that is that in each one of these situations, there's a caregiver, and it's a senior caregiver. One of the most important aspects of being a caregiver is to remember to take care of yourself and take care of yourself first. Because if you get burned out, run down, then it's not gonna do the care recipient any good. Very important in that first scenario where the problem is the senior is codependent. Codependency often always means that that senior is not taking care of themselves. They're putting the needs inappropriately. They're putting the needs of another adult ahead of their own needs. So the first thing I'm going to say to that codependent person is, yes, you probably did create the monster. And the good news with that is that you have control over backing away from over caring. And sometimes many people who are codependent will go to one of the codependency anonymous groups, or they'll seek their own counseling to figure out how do they back away from the overcare they've provided. I had somebody call me up and said, I need an appointment. I need you to teach me and how I'm going to teach my 40-year-old son to budget. He keeps coming to me for money. And the answer is, oh no, this is codependency. This is not about you teaching him how to budget. You can go online and Google how do I budget. He has the ability to figure that out. Your job is not to give him money. You got to stop giving him money. I said, because he doesn't need to budget. You know, if he's got too much month at the end of the money, he just goes to that codependent family member, so he doesn't have to budget. So if you are codependent, then the fix is, yeah, you do have to back away. And sometimes backing away from over caring for someone who's codependent, it means they're going to have to grow and learn. So when you back away, they may get mad. So sometimes that can be the pushback. And sometimes seniors will back away because they now realize, like for money, they're now on a fixed income. They can't just keep giving the money away, or they can't keep doing the laundry or cleaning the house or doing the shopping of those other adults because they just don't have the energy. So it's the aging that corrected the codependency or is putting pressure on the codependent individual to change their ways. And they'll almost always come to me and say, not that they have changed, how do I change their ways? How do I get them to do what they should be doing? And the answer is nope. If you come to me when they were 5 years old, I'd have taught you, how to teach them to be responsible. But they're 35, 40 now, so uh, this is just now about it's game over. Just time for you to back away. In the second scenario, where we're dealing with a generational difference, this is a wonderful time for retired people to do what I'm trying to do in these videos. Try to inform your children or family member or neighbor, whoever it is, about the reality of aging. We do not have a realistic view of aging in our society. When you turn on the television, everyone you're looking at is has had surgery, so they're looking younger, they're acting younger. If you have any sort of age-related decline, you're not going to be. We're starting to see some exceptions, but generally speaking, you're not going to be a part of active society. And so the world doesn't have an understanding that aging is about being active, walking and talking, but not having the energy necessarily to do everything we did 10 years ago. And so that is going to be important to take this as an opportunity to let other family members know, look, I don't know how many more years I'm going to be able to, keep up with your oversized dog when you go on vacation. I don't know how many more years I'm going to be able to keep up with the really young grandkids. I love them. I want to spend time with them, but I don't know that I'm going to have the energy to give them the care that they may need when, should you decide to go away for a weekend that you deserve that time away. I just don't know if I can be the person as much as I want to. I'm finding I cannot do everything I could do 10 years ago. So, what I'm calling for those who are in the second category is to become ambassadors of aging, to become ambassadors of healthy aging to those in your life. And should they get upset, what do you mean I can't drop the dog here when I go on vacation? Just say, I apologize. I know it may be now an inconvenience for you. I love that dog. It's just, I can't keep up with my bad knee anymore. And so to acknowledge that it is the younger generations feel like something's being taken away from them. And if they come back at you, because I know they will, but you're looking after my sister's kids and my brother's dog, say, nope, not anymore. And just leave it at that. Don't engage in any arguments and so on and so forth. And know going in that you might get a little bit of pushback. And I personally, I think that's a problem on a lot of levels. And your kids may have taken you for granted, and it can be breaking to actually see that. And it can also be heartbreaking because most people want to continue being loving and supporting and helpful to other family members, and it can be heartbreaking on some level that they're not able to continue to do that. And then the third category of the family member who really is care dependent, and you're finding you're getting older and you don't know if you can continue to provide this care, whatever it is, if it's just providing a functioning household, helping with funding. The answer is these are tough situations. I talked last week about the elder law attorneys. It can be really tough to figure out, try to have a conversation with the person. When I'm no longer here, how are things going to go forward? And keep in mind, if someone's care dependent, they may not view themselves as that way. So reach out to people in your support system, other family members. How can I move forward with this? Does it make sense to have my son or my grandson move to a supportive living environment while I'm still well? Is that even going to be needed? Can he go get his own apartment? And also talk to other friends and family about how have they negotiated this. this type of situation. And if the person is really living with a significant disability, they've never worked, for example, and there's a need to apply for disability for them, that's when you may need additional help from elder law attorney. They also do disability. And then, and or your own counselor who can help, or family counseling that can help walk you through those steps. So there you have it. So to answer the question, you may reach the point where you want to be helpful and do all things to everyone in your family, and then you find that you can't, and then you tell them and they get mad at you. And so the answer is, if you find yourself rhetorically asking, have I raised a family of monsters? The answer is maybe, but probably not. The other thing that is so wonderful about families is they're generally well-meaning and wonderful, and I get to see that a lot in the work I do. I got to see that when I was out at the family event road race on Friday evening. And it was so nice. And I'm sure all of you are experiencing this now. People finally having family time again together. And the grandparents who were so happy they got to hold the hand of that 5-year-old while the mom and dad went off on the running race. Um, and it just, let's just love and support our families. And if we're codependent, and if you, many of you who are codependent already know it, you got to work on that. You got to keep it in check. If you're loving and caring, let people know, I can do this now. I don't know if I'll be able to do this next year, 2 years from now. And then if you have somebody who's an adult and really does require care, you need to start thinking about, while all is good, how is that care going to be transferred? All right, then. So I will see you all on Tuesday of next week, Tuesday, and it will be, let's see, May 25th. And well, I will be talking about family estrangements. Is it a part of cancel culture, and sort of the animosity that's happening socially, culturally right now? And the answer is no. And I'll talk a little bit about that research that's available about families and family estrangements, and I will be talking about that on Tuesday. Thank you. Have a great week and enjoy this great weather.